It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Indeed it does, and great to have you with us on this Friday edition of the show. We got a lot to do over the next 60 minutes. Always fun on Fridays, because if it's a Friday, it's a NASCAR Friday, and that means Tino Patino's hanging out with us. Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. They're betting insider. You can see him on Tubi as well on the weekends. Get some thoughts with him on this weekend's race at Sonoma. We'll also be joined by Robert Littal, Black Sports Online. Talk about some of the top stories of the week with him. What did Robert Griffin III do? RG3, what are you doing? We'll get into that and a whole bunch more. But we start things out in the NBA and Summer League. Summertime. Sam Yarnell, we had the debut of Cooper Flagg on Thursday night in Las Vegas. Our friend Kurt Heelan was there. Got his first points. Got schooled a bit by Bronny James, I saw as well, which was kind of fun. But the Mavericks get the last laugh at the end as Bronny James comes up a little short. I said this to Kurt Heelan, and I'll say the same thing to you. If you're the Mavericks, get him in there for a couple of games, get a few minutes, just get him through it healthy. That's all you want. Remember, Victor Wembanyama's, they called this an uneven performance. Victor Wembanyama's first game for Summer League wasn't all that great either. He turned out okay. I'm not worried about, what the numbers look like and the stat line and the box score and all that. I just want him to come through these games, a couple of games healthy, and just be done with it if I'm the Mavericks.
Yeah, so I don't understand. I mean, it's because I'm not the biggest basketball guy compared to how much I like other sports, but sure. I don't understand the premise of having the first overall pick, who is very clearly going to be a mainstay in their rotation this year, like at the very least, probably a starter. I don't really get what the point of having him play in Summer League is. Summer League to me is for like second round guys who are on two-way contracts and guys with options and stuff like that. Like seeing Dalton Knecht and Cooper Flagg on that floor last night, who both got meaningful minutes. Bronny James, different story. We'll get to that in a second. But like Knecht and Flagg on that floor last night just didn't look natural to me. And maybe it's just part of basketball, part of the NBA that I don't understand. But I can't see what good it is doing for any NBA franchise to have a player that important to winning a championship playing in meaningless games on a Las Vegas casino floor in the middle of July.
It's hilarious. This is the league of rest, right? I mean, let's be honest. This is the NBA. We were just talking about this on the show yesterday. This is the league of rest. This is the league of guys playing 65 out of 82 games, and that's a successful season, right? This is that league. But we're going to take our highest prized asset that we just went and, tanked and, we got lucky in the draft and the lottery balls and all that stuff. We're going to go and take that guy and, as you said, put him on a floor at UNLV, in the shadow of Las Vegas where he's not even old enough to go gamble. We're going to go put him out there, in basically a glorified and one scrimmage running up and down the floor. And just throw caution to the wind and hope it all works out and he doesn't get hurt. Every time he went down, I just watched him go down again. Every time he went down, they had to just be going, okay, he got up. Like it's got to be nerve-wracking for them, Sam.
But I think Summer League should not be for these types of players. It should be for the guys on non-guaranteed contracts. It should be guys fighting for the 12th and 13th spot on the bench or fighting to stay, on the big team this year because they spent all of last year in the G League. That's what the Summer League should be to me. It shouldn't be, let's trot out our first round pick who we know is going to play, at least 10 minutes a game. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Bronny James was out there too. You mentioned him. And he got some good run. He had a chance late in this game to try and, hit a bucket that would have won it. Instead, he opted for the pullback, three-pointer, which went begging. when he probably had a line where he could have taken it to the basket, which is something, his father did a lot of early in his career, but it is what it is. I mean, look, I was thinking about this in the shower today. LeBron, Bronny James, I know, of all the places. Bronny James is, got another year or two in this league, however long his father decides to play. And I'm not saying this as a shot at him or a shot at LeBron or any of the decisions that were made in all of this. Fact of the matter is, he's a borderline NBA player. He's a borderline end of the bench guy. And those guys just don't last that long in this league. That's what it looks like to me.
So I think that there's been a huge leap that Bronny James has taken in maturity over the last year. And I say that because I was listening to an interview with him a couple of weeks ago at this point. And essentially what he said was, listen, I understand that, I don't have all the, talent in the world, right? Especially when it comes to scoring the basketball. And if I want to stay in the NBA, I'm going to have to be a defensive athlete. I'm going to have to be a guy who can get up and down the floor consistently, who can always run with anybody and play defense. And that's exactly right. And I think there's a level of maturity to knowing that that's what it will take for him to remain in this league beyond LeBron's years, or even in the short term. What if LeBron gets traded? I don't think it's going to be a Bronny package getting sent to Cleveland. So I think that it's interesting in that regard, that to see the level of maturity that Bronny gained in just 1 year going between the NBA and the G League. Now, on the other side of that is his final possession last night, as you alluded to, Jason. That did not show any maturity, just going back and forth about 10 feet, trying to put a move on somebody, and then hoisting up a prayer when your team was down 2. I didn't get it. But again, I think Bronny's taken some incredible leaps in terms of maturity over the last year. Hopefully, it's enough to carry him beyond when his father plays.
Craziest part of all of this, by the way, ticket prices for last night, courtside seats were $3,000.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about a terrible economy, by the way. I don't want to hear about a terrible economy. $3,000 to sit courtside for a glorified scrimmage.
Well, hey,
with a bunch of guys,
Flagg scored 10 points.
With a bunch of guys that'll be playing in Europe next year, or the G League, or China. Seriously, I can't wrap my head around it. Can we talk about some baseball to put me in a better mood? Coming up in 10 minutes, Robert Lital, founder of Black Sports Online, will join us. Get some thoughts with him. Some of the top stories of the week, some that we've discussed, some that we have not. All right, Sam Yarnell, let's get to my happy place, talk some baseball. The Home Run Derby field is set. Some other Friday Major League Baseball notes as well. Jazz Chisholm, how about it? Let's get him. Let's get Jazz Chisholm in the Home Run Derby. Why not? I hope he win. And the odds on him to win it are like insane. Pick him. Go. Take a flyer on Jazz. No, we're not doing that. No chance. No way. No how. No. What do we got? Cal Raleigh plus 300. O'Neal Cruz plus 360. Ronald Acuna Jr. plus 430. James Wood is 5-1. I saw you post that online yesterday. Hint, hint. Byron Buxton at plus 1,000. Junior Caminero at 11-1. Brent Rooker, our friend from the A's, at 11-1. And Jazz Chisholm at 12-1. How often does the favorite win? I'd be curious to know in years past how often the favorite actually wins this thing.
Huh. Well,
I figured you'd know that, knowing
I bet Soto was the favorite the year he won it in 22. I bet Alonso was the favorite the year he won it. Regardless, So obviously you bet on these things for fun. You don't bet on these things to try and make actual money. There's no edge that I could give you for how to bet a bunch of guys taking batting practice. But I do find a little bit of interest in like what it would take, right? Like theoretically, what a handicap for the home run derby would take. And to me, it's straight exit velocity. Right, like that's what it's relying upon. Give me the guys who hit the ball the hardest, which is why I'll take that unit and I'll split it right down the middle between Ronald Acuna Jr. and James Wood. Those are the guys in the field here who hit the ball harder than anybody. I mean, they just hit the daylights out of the ball. They hit the cover off the baseball. So that's where I'd go. If I had to pick a winner, it'd be one of those two guys. If you're making me pick one, it's James Wood, just because he's played the entire season and has more of that endurance factor with the, new era of home run derby that we've seen is so important. Give me the young, fresh legs of James Wood over Ronald Acuna Jr. coming off an injury later in his career. But that's what I got for you, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. I do think it is a great field outside of Jazz Chisholm, right? Who's really weird at the end when I think there were a bunch of guys who were in conversation for it who had better arguments. But I think we're in store for a good home run derby.
Jazz is a showman, though, so Jazz will be fun. Jazz is a showman, and not for nothing, he has been huge for the Yankees since coming off the injured list.
There was a 2-week stretch where he was the best hitter in baseball.
Yeah. And he's
and that, on a team with Aaron Judge, that's saying something.
He is swinging it well right now. Speaking of the Yankees, what a rally for them last night. They're getting no hit, like an out into the 8th inning against Brian Wu, who looked fantastic. And I mean, for the life of me, I can't figure out how the Yankees somehow get up off the mat down 5-0 and win that game. I can't figure out baseball. I'll just throw my hands up and say I can't figure out baseball because this team looked dead in the water after dropping 6 in a row. Now all of a sudden they've won 4 straight. They get the comeback win. Giancarlo Stanton hits his first ever career pinch hit home run, and then they get the walk-off sac fly from Aaron Judge, who gets bailed out by an Anthony Volpe slide because that was not a very deep fly ball to Julio Rodriguez in the 10th, but the Yankees get the win anyway. And this is the Mariners. Look, they get swept in New York, and that's a tough trip for the Mariners to New York right now in that AL West where it feels like they're running in mud, Sam.
I don't know. That was an incredibly impressive win from the New York Yankees last night. That's a win that, I mean, you get the best closer in baseball this season, hands down, to blow a save for the first time in weeks, I believe. So that in and of itself is impressive. Unfortunately, your boy Aaron Boone bought himself another couple of months as the Yankees skipper because it was a heck of a ball game out of New York last night. I still think that with the way Toronto is playing baseball, I am not comfortable saying that it is the Yankees division to lose in the AL East.
Toronto's peaking early, though. Toronto's peaking early.
The Yankees are going to have to go out and win it. I'm not saying they can't, but they're going to have to. The division's not just going to fall to them as it has in years past.
Yankees are going to make moves, though. They're making it clear. They're going out and getting, whether it's Eugenio Suarez, whether it's there's talk of another pitcher, Diamondbacks pitcher that they were
Zach Gallen?
Yeah, they were talking about Gallen. The Yankees are going to make moves here. This is not a team that is standing pat right now.
It's like the meme. It's like, bro wanted Zach Gallen, but ain't have Zach Gallen money or ain't have Zach Gallen prospects. Get ready to learn Sandy Alcantara, buddy.
Can we just give some more love to Nick Kurtz, by the way, who just continues to pound baseballs? I mean, man alive. I'm still trying to figure out how the A's are so bad. I'm still trying to figure out how this A's team, I cannot figure out how they are 39-56. Because every time I look at that lineup, I'm like, this team should be better than this. Is their pitching that bad? Like, I cannot figure out for the life of me. And it's got to be. I mean, they've allowed the most runs in the American League. But and not only have they allowed the most runs in the American League, they've allowed the most runs in all of baseball. Other than the Colorado Rockies, which is, I mean, we don't count the Rockies because they play in Colorado, and they're the Rockies. 538 runs. But Nick Kurtz is just out of this world. Again, he's on the wrong team in the wrong year to try and win Rookie of the Year. But man, hats off to Nick Kurtz, who hits a 8th inning game-tying home run before the A's walk it off last night.
I will just say this. Do not count Sacramento as that different than Colorado. And that's why the A's have been so bad this year. It's because of that ballpark and that ballpark alone. Kids been awesome. College baseball is rad. Wake Forest's own.
Cam Smith, by the way, now tied with Jacob Wilson for best odds to win American League Rookie of the Year at plus 110. And then Nick Kurtz at plus 500. Sam holding that ticket for dear life. Cash it in! They giving you cash outs? We're coming back. Welcome back to this Friday edition of Sports Wrap. If it's a Friday, it can only mean one thing. Well, it means two things. One, we're talking NASCAR with Tino Patino on the show. But the other means this guy's joining us. You see him on your screen. His name is Robert Littal. He's the founder of Black Sports Online. Friend of the show, longtime friend of the program, hangs out with us every Friday on the program, talk about some of the top stories of the week. Look at that. I didn't even open up with the ISO shot. I opened up with just you and me right here together on camera. Something a little different for the audience. So I've got to get into this RG3 thing because, you know, there's times where I take his side on certain issues and things he talks about. I'm having a hard time figuring out the logic of elevating a tweet from somebody who has like 50 followers that has something so disgusting and just totally as offensive as what he called attention to, this tweet that somebody put out of, you know, mocking the WNBA 2K, NBA 2K26 cover. And we talked about it earlier on the show this week, Angel Reese being the cover woman for this year's, for the next version of the WNBA video game, 2K. And somebody decided to put a offensive picture in place of Angel Reese. And I don't know. Are we elevating it if we say what it was? I don't even know, Robert. Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
see, so I won't say it. No, but I don't want it. Like,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not saying it. If people want to go and find it themselves, if it means that much to you, you can go and find it. But somebody elevated. So somebody tweeted out this offensive picture, mocking the fact that Angel Reese was the cover person, and RG3 decided to put up the actual post from this person that nobody would have ever seen because he had like 50 followers. And he called attention to it, saying it's offensive, but at the same time also saying, even though Angel Reese has taken shots at me before, I think this is terrible. Do you think, I know it's dangerous to ask you to get inside somebody's head, Robert. Do you think he intentionally did it to call attention to it, to make her look bad? Or do you think he was legitimately trying to call out this person's racism, overt racism, in this tweet they put out, and just had a brain cramp or a brain fart in inadvertently elevating this tweet to millions of people?
Well, I think he was trying to split the baby, as they would say. I think on one hand, he wanted the world to know that Angel Reese had, quote unquote, did this to his family, to his wife, to his kids, that he still felt the way about Angel Reese that he had spoken about before. But then he was also like, well, for me to do this, I got to also show that, hey, listen, I'm also calling out all of these things that are happening to Angel Reese in real time. So I can't be the bad guy. She's the bad woman. Look at me. I'm not the bad guy. I'm calling out the racism. And a lot of times when you try to, get both sides on your side, nobody ends up on your side. And that's what happened to RG3. I think he clearly wanted to get that off of his chest, that he feels a certain way about what Angel Reese retweeted or whatever. But he also didn't want the backlash of just saying it, and he used this photo trying to get people on his side, and it backfired.
It just, companies do this stuff where they do training on, here's what you should and shouldn't do on social media. I remember when I was working for NBC Sports back in the day, they had us go through this sort of training where you should do this, you shouldn't do that. And once you're off on your own in this wild west, this wild west of the sports world we live in and the media world we live in, where everybody's their own brand, you don't have that training. You don't have that voice in your head saying, I remember my boss saying ... And as much as we all want to live in our own media worlds and be our own brands, look, I deal with it. I've got somebody who wants to partner with me from a business standpoint. And he said to me one time, the only thing holding me back from potentially partnering with you is, sometimes you say things on X about this person or that person that I don't really like. And I don't know why you do it. And not that I say anything offensive. They just don't like the fact that sometimes I might attack something that I disagree with. And it's a problem for this person. That's just the world we live in, though, Robert, isn't it? I
think we're in a world where someone, like you said, with 39 followers can cause a national outrage. I mean, to cause a literally national outrage where I see Martin Luther King's family getting involved in it. It should not be like that. There are certain issues as far as racism and racial injustice and things that are happening in the WNBA that I do think that we should have discussions on. What I don't believe is we should let people with 39 followers, if we have a million platinum platform, we should not be exposing 1 million people to somebody that has 39, because that's exactly what they wanted. They're sitting back anonymously wherever they live. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they live. We don't know what they work. We don't know what they look like. They're sitting back with their feet up laughing, just laughing at us.
Yeah.
And it's sad to me because it took away from a really cool thing for Angel Reese. Her shoes coming out, 2K, that's cool for the kids and stuff. And instead of celebrating that, all I see is people spend 6-7 hours arguing with RG3. What a waste of lifetime. You know what I mean? Just a waste of time in this beautiful one life that we have.
I only have a minute left in this segment. We're holding you over for one more, but I do have to ask, how is Angel Reese the cover person for this game, though? With all the stars in this league, really? Angel Reese?
You know what I think about Angel Reese? I think she has mastered social media, and she's mastered outside of the game. And Caitlin Clark is like Jokic. She's really into all of this stuff, right? But they could take Angel Reese and go on a tour and do all, and she'd be in it. She'd be active in it. She wants to do it. She likes being famous. And because she likes being famous, I think from a marketing standpoint, that's where they were looking at it.
Am I crazy to say, though, that I think she craves the fame and the fortune and everything that comes with the stardom from the league more than maybe winning championships and that sort of thing?
I mean, I wouldn't say that, only because when you watch her play, she's a demon on the court. So she has she can flip the switch. Some people are like that. They can, outside the court, they can want to be at the Met Gala with the dresses and the Instagram, and then on the court, they kill us. And she seems to have, at least over the last month, been able to blend that together.
Robert Littell's hanging out for one more segment. Don't go anywhere. We welcome you back on this Friday, where we hang out with Robert Littell, the founder of Black Sports Online, talking about some of the top stories of the week with him. You would think after what was the guy's name from the Giants who then went to the
JPP?
Yeah, Jason Pierre-Paul. That's what it was. You would think after that athletes would stay at least 100 yards away from anything having to do with fireworks at this point. And instead, we have another incident involving fireworks and an athlete and an injury, and this one's to Najee Harris. I just, again, with so much at risk, and knowing the shelf life of an athlete, especially an NFL player as it is, Robert, it just blows my mind that a player could be that unaware, is the word I'll use, to put themselves in that sort of situation.
You know, I learned early in my journalistic career that athletes, no matter how many times something happens in front of them, will continue to do it. The way I learned that was with Steve McNair. When Steve McNair happened, I was sure, I said, well, any athlete clearly will, change their lifestyle because, this is terrible. This shouldn't happen. This will make you think. And then like a week later, it was still some controversy. So it's like, I don't know what it is about athletes. I think they have a Superman complex. I think they're invincible. I think since they were little kids, they were told how great they are. They're physically superior to everybody else. And I think they just feel like, that's why, like the speeding. Mm-hmm. And, you see what happened with the Raiders wide receiver. And you still see guys going 130 miles an hour. You're like, did you not see? This man's in jail, right? His career could be over. And why? And so nothing surprises me with that. I hope he's okay. They said it was superficial. But the possibility of almost losing an eye and a career over some fireworks, when you can go to Cabo and sit on the beach and just watch them fire up it's I can't. I understand it because they keep doing it, but it's unfathomable to me.
NBA salaries. We were talking about it yesterday on the show. Is there a breaking point anywhere in the future here? When we're talking about guys that are basically going to be making $1 million a game next year?
It's interesting because the general population, as far as how much their increase has been very, very small over the last 30 years, even though like housing and cars and everything else has went way up. But for the NBA and MLB, it's just going out of control. And it makes you think in 10 years, is Wemby going to be worth $1 billion? How far can this go? But then when you see the Lakers getting sold for $10 billion, maybe there is no cap of how. I think that there maybe at some point a CBA, I know they're trying to do it right with the second apron, but maybe at some point they go hard cap. Where look, you can't make more than $250 million or something like that. Because if not, because of the escalators that they have baked in, it's not going to, 500 million, 700 million doesn't seem out of whack in the coming years. And
as long as the media money is there, they can afford to keep doing it as well. You have to wonder if at some point that media money starts to shrink. Mm-hmm. Does it ever start to come down a little bit? That's another question. I'm looking at $3,000 courtside seats for a summer league game last night with Cooper Flagg and Bronny James, and I'm just trying to figure it out. Like, where's the market for this? Like, how is this happening?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, supply and demand or whatever you want to call it. But I know tickets for games have gone up, concessions. Everything has gone up except the amount of money we make, which is really not a good way to live in a civilized society. But I think what will happen is the same thing that happened to NFL players. Whatever we consider the middle-class NBA players are going to suffer. Because you're going to have 3 guys making $60 million a year, and the other 9 are going to be, around the vet minimum because there's not going to be any money for middle ground.
Yeah. We got a big boxing match tonight, and I know some people will see this afterwards, but it deserves to at least get a couple of minutes on the show. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, the third time around for them, revisiting where it all began for them at Madison Square Garden in New York, being streamed live on Netflix. Give me a reason to believe the result was any different from the first 2 times they fought.
I felt Serrano won the first 2 fights, and the last one clearly. It's when you see that, it's hard to believe if the fight kind of goes the same that it's not going to go, to Katie Taylor, especially in that area where they both have a lot of fans. But I think the most important thing is the fight. when those two fight, it's like Rocky and Apollo. I mean, it's you're gonna get your money's worth because they go in there from the opening bell. There's not a lot of jabbing and everything's going on. So the fans will get their money's worth. You got Netflix, you're basically getting it for free. But I do feel Serrano has won the last two fights, and I see no reason to not believe that she should pull out this one. We just have to see what the judges have to say.
You're big into boxing, so I'll ask you, what have they done for the sport in sort of helping to prop it up, especially on the women's side?
I would say this is the one thing that Jake Paul can be, if you want to give him props for, is he's really elevated women's boxing. He signed a lot of women boxers, put them at big events. Him and Eddie Hearn over in the UK have really put a lot of money into women's boxing where the U.S. promoters have not. And to see that's good because they at times are as entertaining and maybe sometimes more entertaining than the men boxers. I just hope at some point they go to 3-minute rounds because then we'll be able to see a little more knockouts.
That would be nice. Robert Littell, our friend from Black Sports Online. We won't see him next week because we're off next Friday. We're going to be off next week other than Monday. So we won't be seeing you next Friday, but we'll have you back on the week after that. Enjoy the week off.
All right, my brother. You have a great one.
Robert Littell, Black Sports Online. Check him out there. Also online at BSO. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot more to do on the show. Tino Patino still to come to talk about NASCAR at Sonoma. This edition of Sports Wrap on a Friday continues. We got you covered for NASCAR on this Friday edition of Sports Wrap because Fridays are NASCAR Fridays on this show. That means we're bringing in this guy. The big guns are here. Tino Patino. Please, don't do the gun show. The gold gun show. Tino Patino is here, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. You can hear him on the weekends, see him on Tubi as well. All his great social media content too. Talking NASCAR with us on the show. Are we literally going to be talking about Shane Van Gisbergen, a guy who can't even really sniff a win outside of a road course, as a 3-time NASCAR winner? After we're done with Sonoma this weekend, I just can't. I'm sorry, Tino. I gotta vent on this because you know how much it drives me crazy. This idea of Shane Van Gisbergen, this neophyte who's stormed into NASCAR and does great on road courses. I said this to Brian Twining on Monday. I'll say the same thing to you. NASCAR should start a road course series. Start a road course series. And then you can have him do all these cute little road courses, and it's great. Because he can't win the other races, so just do a road course series. It'll be made for Shane. It'll be wonderful. Is he gonna win? Is he gonna win for a third time this year? Is he gonna join the likes of some of the greatest in the sport to win 3 times in 1 year?
Yeah, I think there's a high chance that we can see that happening. And I'm not that much against it or have that much of a problem with it as other people do. Well, here's the reason why. He's still very new to racing in the NASCAR Cup Series. So what is the NASCAR Cup Series? Well, we're not saying it's road courses. Yes, there are 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 in the sport right now, which is the most we've seen, street course, road course. And that's fair because maybe we can cut back a little bit. But with Shane Van Gisbergen, he's still a rookie when it comes to racing on the ovals. So if he can figure out these road courses, he's the opposite of your normal Cup Series driver, right? Those guys grow up racing on the short tracks, on the ovals, and they have to learn how to get better on the road courses. And you bring in some road course ringers, and maybe you have guys like Michael McDowell, AJ Allmendinger, who have that prior experience of road course racing that makes them excel on these types of racetracks. But for SVG, you got to give the guy a little bit of slack here. I mean, this is his second full-time year or first full-time year in the Cup Series, and he's got 2 wins now. Could go for 3, tying, like you said, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell up there for the most of the series. And if he does that, he's making it to the round of 8 in the playoffs. And you have to, at that point, tip your cap to Justin Marks, the owner of Trackhouse, who brought in SVG to do just that. So I'm going to stand on, a little bit of business here for my guy SVG, because when you look at this too, average running position on road courses in 2025, yeah, he's that much better than everyone else, but it's drastic. He is a 3.3 average running position. The next best, I'll let you guess. Who is the next best? I'll say the driver, Christopher Bell. What do you think the average running position is for him? Next best.
You're saying in just road courses?
Yeah, road courses this year, 2025. SVG is 3.3 in terms of average running position this year. What do you think the next number is for Christopher Bell?
10.
You're right. Great. There you go. Hey, great analysis. But that's insane. 7 positions better on the racetrack. I respect him.
All right. Fair enough. Vegas doesn't, because they still think his odds to win the championship this year are 45-1.
Well, that's correct. He can't.
But you basically just said he's going to be locked into the top 8, and even knowing that, they're saying he has no shot. Basically, they're saying you're burning your money.
Well, if he gets 3 wins, you have enough playoff points to essentially make it out of those first couple rounds. And then you take a look at the playoffs. There's road courses in there. We have the Roval. So that's why I'm thinking that. But Vegas is correct. He should not be a favorite by any means to win the championship.
Kyle Larson is right now the favorite to win the Cup Series championship, by the way, at plus 350, and then Christopher Bell at plus 550. But it's been pretty quiet for Kyle Larson as of late.
It has, and I think that's something that we saw last year as well. A little bit of a summer slump. We've seen this before with Jimmy Johnson as well, when he goes out and dominates, when he was doing that a couple years ago. And I think the biggest thing is, at a track like this weekend at Sonoma, this is where most people would probably look at Kyle Larson, his past few finishes, say, oh, they're slumping right now, not doing so well. Same thing with William Byron, but this is his track. He won here last year in the same sort of fashion, where I took a look at him, home track, Kyle Larson on a road course, won here in 2021 as well, and I was like, well, they just haven't had the speed, which is true, but if they're going to get their get back, it's going to be at a place like this. And I don't want anyone who's tuning in to be surprised when that happens. You can get good value on Kyle Larson because of SVG being the heavy favorite this weekend. Plus 130. We're not taking that for SVG. Even if he goes down and wins, I'll love to get a Kyle Larson at plus 550 to win this one then.
I got about a minute left. Who needs it the most this week?
Oh, great question. Well, there's all the drivers on the cut line. Chris Buescher probably needs it the most because new winners keep on winning. And like we saw Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, obviously SVG we're talking about. But when we go to these road courses, and you still have Daytona coming up too, right there, it's looming, the cut line race. That's where people will continue to get pushed down below the cut line. Same thing with Bubba Wallace. He needs to have strong days, but I don't think those are enough. Anyone who is 16th in the playoff standings right now without a win, I don't think it's going to be enough. I think you need to win at this point to get in.
But you still think Bubba could get in without winning, or no?
No.
You think he's going to have to win a race?
Yeah. I think there will be 12 to 13 winners, and that will bump him out.
And a long time since he won.
Yeah. He can do it, though. Well, he can do it.
We've been saying that for a year. Tino Patino, our NASCAR insider. Always appreciate you, my man. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Friday. Couple of reminders. Sports Wrap Weekends might be on this very same station. If it's not, check your local listings for time and schedule. Could be somewhere else. If not, I don't know. Call the station. Tell them they should carry the weekend show. It's a 30-minute wrap-up show of everything we talked about during the week. Sports Wrap Weekends, a 30-minute wrap-up show. Make sure to check that out. Sports Wrap with Jason Page. The audio podcast of this show is available Monday through Friday on all your favorite podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, anywhere you get a podcast, anywhere. you can listen to this show in a nice, tidy little 45-minute podcast while you're in the shower, on the treadmill, on the train, plane, wherever it may be. You can listen to this show Monday through Friday. Subscribe today. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place to watch the show commercial-free Monday through Friday. It's available afternoons on our YouTube channel, as is Sports Wrap Shorts, clips from the show, sometimes clips not from the show. Go and check them out. Always good fun there as well. All right, without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends. How about some Wimbledon, Sam Yarnell? And Odds and Ends presents... I got ahead of myself. Monday's headlines on a Friday, Sam Yarnell. We like to let people in and kind of tell them what they could expect to hear about when we come back on Monday. By the way, next Monday, the only live show we will be doing, regular show, we'll be doing next week. I will be taking the week off. Sam will be off as well. So just be ready for that. But we will be here on Monday because I want to recap Wimbledon, everything from the baseball weekend, and then we'll get you ready for the All-Star game, and then we'll go and take a few days off on one of the slowest sports weeks of the year. Sam Yarnell, Wimbledon, we got a women's final, Amanda Anisimova. I think I said it right.
Yep.
Yeah. New Jersey's own, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yes. American Amanda Anisimova will be taking on Iga Swiatek in the Wimbledon women's final after Anisimova beat Arina Sabalenka yesterday. Swiatek easily getting through her semifinal match as well. Be great to see. And there's been 9 straight years of a different winner at Wimbledon. 9 straight years on the women's side. Obviously far different from the men's side. When you look into your crystal ball and write Monday's headlines on a Friday, who's winning on the women's side, Sam Yarnell?
That's interesting. Hey, and what's funny about that, just that 9 different championships thing, can you not draw that directly back to the strange retirement that happened heading out of Wimbledon? Who was that? That I believe it was a British or an Australian woman who was number 1 in the world and announced her retirement. I'll have to go back and check.
Okay.
Regardless, I'm going with Iga just because Iga rocks.
Yeah, she does.
I mean, pretty freaking cool. Jason said it. We're only here on Monday next week. If you're one of our loyal listeners or watchers, like Philip Dunn, shout out to the guy, Philip Dunn, catching the show. Didn't tell me where he watched the show, what state he watched the show in, but sent me a very sweet little note about us, Jason, and said that he loves what we're doing. So if you're like Philip and you want to watch the show next week, Monday's the only day that we'll be here.
On the men's side, it will be Carlos Alcaraz against either Jannik Sinner or Novak Djokovic. The second semifinal, Novak Djokovic and Jannik Sinner, has not taken place as of the time we're putting together the show. Taylor Fritz losing to Carlos Alcaraz in the early semifinal. I just feel bad for Taylor Fritz because he's never going to win it. I mean this. I hate to use the word never. The guy's never winning a major. He's just born at the wrong time. And he's really good. He's really good. He's great. But the guy can play his best and still have no chance. He gets beaten 4 sets by Carlos Alcaraz on a day where he played really well. He's got to play perfect and hope that Alcaraz stubs his toe. I feel for him. So Alcaraz versus either Sinner or Djokovic. If you're looking at either matchup, who do you think wins?
First of all, on the Fritz thing,
yeah,
he will win a major.
No, he won't.
We've seen this movie before. He's literally just Andy Murray. Maybe it'll be in 10 years, but he'll win the U.S. Open. No. It'll be super emotional, and that'll be it. It'll be like Alcaraz Sinner, Alcaraz Sinner, Alcaraz Sinner, Alcaraz Sinner.
Nope.
Fritz.
I'll take that futures
Alcaraz
bet.
Sinner, Alcaraz Sinner, Shelton.
I'll take the no.
Alcaraz Sinner, Alcaraz Sinner.
Oh,
that's your next 10 years in tennis. I just laid out the whole thing for you. If you'll notice, it started with Alcaraz. It starts with Alcaraz this weekend. Right. The guy's invincible at Wimbledon. Vamos España.
American Century Golf. The celebrity tournament this weekend, Sam Yarnell. Do they even have odds on this thing? I guess they do. Somebody says they do. All right, somebody says they do. Charles Barkley's a long shot. I know that.
You can't bet him in every state, but you can bet him in some states. Marty Fish came in as the co-favorite with Steph Curry. Last year, Marty Fish won it only because Steph Curry became the first defending champion since 2011 not to play in their title defense year. Obviously, Steph Curry busy last summer over in Paris at the Olympics. So Curry back this year, I'm putting it on Steph. That guy is an insane golfer. He beat Marty Fish 2 years ago. I'll go with Steph this year.
Give me Tony Romo. He wears Skechers. I'll go with Romo. How's that? Oh, look, I even got the right logo on the screen. It's the American Century Championship. Yep, give me Tony Romo. Or Joe Pavelski. Thanks, Robert Littall. Thanks, Tino Patino. Thanks to you, Sam. We'll see you next week.